baby, it's time to ride the funk train. This is Funkmaster V, and I'm here today to talk about what everybody's been talking about in the retro world, the Atari Gamestation Go. Yes, about a week or so ago, I got my hands on one of these bad boys, and it's been taking up a lot of my time, and I've been absorbing it. You know what I'm talking about? I could have done a video right when I got it, but I've been horsing around with it, trying to see what I really think about it, because I want to give you a really good review that is pretty concise. Now, there's a lot of videos already reviewing this, so this is going to be from the slant of a 7800 fans perspective of what this means, what this is, what I think about it. Is it worth the $179 price tag? We'll get into all of that here in a funky minute right after this kick booty intro. And I want you all to remember, don't fear the name, and don't fear the fame, and don't fear the power of pure funk.
Since the beginning of time, there's only been one website with the Babylons to claim every game reviewed when it came to the Pro System, and that's Atari7800forever.com.
But now it's time to get on that YouTube trip, babies. And who am I? I'm Funkmaster V, musician, ghost hunter, hat flipper, pro wrestler, comedian, actor, filmmaker, and I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour of all things cool about Atari and the Atari 7800 with a podcast, news, even new crap. Baby, are you ready to get your groove on? Because it's about to get funky up in here. We're going to jump into this as fast as possible. I know most of you people know what the Gamestation Go is. Just real quickly for anybody who's uninitiated, it is a portable system that has 200 preloaded games on it. What makes this unique to other systems is it has a paddle, it has a D-pad, it has a keypad, and it has a trackball. Plus it has all the triggers and buttons that you need to play modern style games. This has a heavy Atari slant, of course. It's made by My Arcade, which has had questionable quality control in the past. So there's a lot of things to worry about and be hopeful for with a package like this. So again, 7800 centric review here, but I'm going to touch all the bases as we go. The first thing is it's packed great. You know, it doesn't feel chintzy at all, the packaging of this thing. And when you get it and you hold it in your hands, I've got some mixed thoughts about it. It doesn't feel like a piece of crap. You know, there's sometimes they release controllers for like the Nintendo Switch or the Wii or something. It feels like this thing feels like I could break it if I threw it against the wall, which from personal experience I could. This kind of feels in between the quality of like an Xbox controller and like the Atari VCS modern controller. I feel like over time something plastic may break off in this thing and you'll hear like the little piece of plastic rattling around. It's not necessarily bad, but there are parts of the machine that I do feel like that I worry about, namely the trackball. The trackball feels like a tiny piece of lightweight plastic, and it feels like, God, after about 6 months of horsing around with this thing, that thing's probably going to snap. The paddle feels great. The keyboard feels like it's built like a brick shithouse, and the D-pad and the triggers are pretty ubiquitous. I know a lot of tech heads are not happy about the screen. They wanted a particular type of screen. As somebody who doesn't know anything about anything, I think the screen is fine. In fact, if you look at this picture here, this is how much bigger the screen is from an Atari Lynx. The Atari Lynx was built better, but this screen is brighter, and much bigger. It's got a cool paint job on it. I mean, this retro look I love. User interface is great. Like I said, the keypad feels tremendous. However, the sad thing is there's not too many out-of-the-box keypad games with this thing. The paddle seems good, D-pad good, triggers good, buttons okay. The trackball I'm worried about. Getting into when you start playing the games that are already preloaded, the instructions and the descriptions are terrible. I don't know who they had over there, if English was their first language. It's unreal how bad the instructions are. It's unreal how bad the game descriptions are with these titles. The cool thing is when you move over a game from one of the selection fields, it kind of has an attract mode with the music. That is cool. But whoever wrote this stuff, they need to have English as their main language. They're bad. I remember one game. It's an M Network game. It's a space game. I can't remember the name of it right yet. But it's like what it is describing is something that is not happening in the game whatsoever. It's like, did they even play this thing? Did they just guess what this game was? The other thing out of the box that really is strange is they should be allowed, there should be something inside the game to allow you to remap the buttons. And we'll get into that here more in a minute. It doesn't have that. The good news is there is, because it's my arcade, and they did this with the Gamestation Go, which was the home version of this, there will be firmware updates, we imagine, to address some of these issues. So hopefully being able to remap buttons is something they can address soon. Let's go over the recharge games, which was probably one of the biggest selling points to a lot of people, and I have to say this is probably one of the worst aspects of this machine. The games look duller, especially something like Breakout Recharged, which had this disco funk kind of laser light Studio 54 vibe. A lot of those lights and effects have been taken way down. The variance of quality of these games are pretty wild too. Asteroids Recharge seems like it's been upgraded. If you saw my review on Asteroids Recharge for the VCS, I trashed that MFer. That's a terrible game. This one has been improved greatly because they've made it more difficult. In my review of the original VCS game, I said UFOs only come from one side of the screen, and it was true. Now they have new, not only do they come out of the right side of the screen too, they have more advanced enemies that are tougher to contend with. Breakout Recharge plays great with the paddle, so that's a good one even though it looks duller. The other thing out of the box that's crazy about this, there's no pause on the Recharge games. These are your most advanced games on this deck, and you don't have pause. The Atari 2600 games have pause. This gives me pause. It may give me menopause. That's something they got to fix with the firmware thing. And these Recharge games seem like they're kind of thrown in there at the last minute, and I don't think this Gamestation Go is very powerful. But they got to do a better job with these Recharge games. And the other thing is, too, the selection. These are the 5 worst Recharge games there are. There's 5 more that are much better than this. Berzerk Recharge is completely broken. There's times where you can't hit the robots with your bullets. There's times where the game freezes. There's times where the graphics are really jacked up. It's really strange. I'm not sure what's going on with Berzerk Recharge, but they have to fix that. Also, that brings up something that's ubiquitous for the entire library of these 200 plus games, the dual stick games. Any game that requires 2 joysticks, well, there's not 2 joysticks with this system. You're supposed to use the buttons as the second joystick. That plays terribly with most games. So anything like Cloak and Dagger, Berzerk Recharged, Black Widow, anything like that, yuck. It feels gross. It feels like putting on girls' panties and filling them with golf balls and walking around the mall. Don't ask me how I know how that feels, but it feels that uncomfortable. The other thing about the Recharge games that kill me is there's no online leaderboards as of yet, and that's the most fun thing about playing Recharge games, is competing with people around the world. Let's go to the arcade version of this. So there's a good selection of arcade games here. Some play better than others. Like Tempest is disappointing because some of the graphics are kind of broken. That's kind of sad, and I feel like Crystal Castles is nuts. I feel like the trackball control with that, it's too squirrely. I feel like with most of these games, the trackball is out of pocket. With Quantum, squirreliness of the trackball is great because that game, you got to move the trackball fast to encircle the corks or whatever we're doing in that game, these atoms or whatever. That game plays great. There's other games with the arcade lineup that I feel like are better than expected. Don't sleep on Pool Shark. Pool Shark it's black and white, and it's a very old game, and it's like, oh, brother, this is going to be a terrible pool game. It actually is like what it's like when you're a kid. Your dad has a pool table, you get all the balls on the table, and you just try to throw them into the pockets as fast as possible. In this game, there's no shots. The balls keep moving, and you just use the cue ball to try to ram as many balls in the pockets as you can without scratching. That's actually a lot of fun. So that's one of the games that you can't sleep on in this lineup. Major Havoc, you can't even use the paddle control with Major Havoc, which is bizarre. You can use the trackball and you can use the D-pad. That sucks, but I will say the D-pad control of Major Havoc is the best interface I've played on any system that has Major Havoc. I have arcade 1-ups that have it. I have emulation devices that have it. I have the Atari 50th. Major Havoc plays the best on Gamestation Go. Why? I have no idea. Conversely, iRobot plays way too squirrely to really enjoy, and this is unfortunate because this is one of their staff picks. There has to be, with a firmware update, they have to update this thing to where we can control input sensitivity. Sometimes the D-pad is too sensitive. Things are too squirrely. Sometimes it's not responsive enough. We have to have a little bit of control over that. They've got to implement that. Again, now that I think about it, this is just a Gamestation portable. It doesn't have to be arcade perfect, I guess, but it would be nice to have some sort of control over how sensitive the games are. Liberator, which is a trackball game, plays great. In fact, I've gotten further on Liberator than I have any other incarnation of that game, so I dig it on here. So far having pretty good success with the arcade, though, overall. All your games here are pretty much what you expect, and they're good enough. Or they're great. The Atari 2600, there's nothing really to talk about here. There's some strange omissions. You're going to have people going, where's Pitfall? Where's River Raid? And they don't understand licensing, you know. They don't understand that Atari sold Battle Zone, so that's why that's not on here. But the selection of games are good. The first game I played was Adventure. Adventure played great. Hope to God it did. If that didn't, we were in trouble. But the games like Super Breakout play good with the paddle control. Very good. Breakout plays good. Weirdly enough, Indy 500, you can't use the paddle control. So, I don't know, there's some hit and miss with the Atari 2600 lineup. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but pretty much everything here plays great. I think they've missed an opportunity. Nobody's going to agree with me or care about this, since Atari made a headline news a couple months ago about Atari beating ChatGPT with video chess, which I love, and I remind ChatGPT all the time because I hate the damn thing, and I hate AI. I kind of thought it would be a marketing win if they added video chess to see if you could have beat ChatGPT at chess, but they left that off. They have video checkers, though. Whatever. The Atari 5200 has a disappointing lineup of games. A lot of them are two-player sports games. Look, they have, for $60, a cool-looking controller you can hook up to this, but I'll be damned, I don't know anybody in the world that's going to hook up the GameStation Go and start adding controllers. You can hook this up to the TV, too. Okay, all right, I guess, but there's a million other ways you can play these games. And these two-player sports games, who cares? And they included something called Meesbork, which I thought, oh wow, a prototype, unreleased, cool. It plays like ass. Don't get excited about it. The keypad is confusing for some of these games. Like I've heard so much praise about Realsports baseball. I still really don't know how to throw a pitch properly, and I really don't know how I'm batting. I need to go online and look up the instructions to see how to play Atari 5200 Realsports baseball. I want to enjoy it, but then again, it's the year 2025, and you have to watch each team take the field and get off the field and come on the field in between each inning, and I feel like I'm slowly dying. I'm too old to watch that. I'm going to die soon. So, okay, Pac-Man's included in this as well. So, Pac-Man, the terrible Atari 2600 port, which pretty much almost destroyed the video game industry, that's included. That's fun. The version of Pac-Man from the arcade is included, and there's a speed-up version of Pac-Man, which is pretty cool. Some people complain about the aspect ratio. The good thing about the GameStation Go is you can change your aspect ratio to be widescreen or 4:3, and so if a game looks kind of funky, you can morph it around to make it look a little bit better. You can do that with this too. A lot of people were complaining about the Atari 2600 Pac-Man aspect ratio. Don't worry about it. You can horse around with that. Now here's the thing. From a 7800 fan's perspective, they're releasing something called Pac-Man Double Feature that Bob DeCrescenzo is making for the 7800, and that includes the 2600 version, just like this, and a 7800 version arcade perfect take of the original Pac-Man game. The thing about that is that you have more options. You can have more players, 3 life, 4 life, 5 life. You can have it to where it speeds up or slows down. It's just kind of like this. But you also can have random mazes. Not only does that make the Pac-Man game better, it makes the 2600 game even better than the arcade version because the random mazes are insane. So The Pac-Man package for 2600 plus that they're releasing, it's going to be better than what's on here. I would rather have Miss Pac-Man, you know what I mean? It's a little bit better game, or Junior Pac-Man. Pac-Man's kind of boring, one maze, but I'm not a Pac-Man nut. If you're a Pac-Man nut, yay. So Balls of Steel is on here too. I wasn't really excited about this, but I was pleasantly surprised. The triggers on the GameStation Go are awesome as paddles. I spent a lot of time on some of these tables, had a great time. The graphics are a little dull. I wish the little pinball was gleamed a little bit better. And I feel like compared to the Steam version, the graphics are a little bit dull, but there's voice acting. There's a lot of great cheesiness with what they say. The tables are ridiculous. There's like one about a bomb exploding, one about a viral outbreak. You know, there's always, it's like over the top, insane scenarios of centered around pinball. That feels so 80s to me, and I dig it. Wish the little tables were brighter. One little knock I have it is Centipede seems like the camera does not move with the ball. This is a game where you can't see the entire table, so the camera moves with the ball. And on the Centipede board, man, sometimes the camera can't keep up with the ball, and that sucks. All right, I was flying at 99 miles an hour. I promise you I was trying to go fast. Oh, hold on a second. Forgot my vitamins. I was trying to go fast. And so here we go, into the part of the video where I'm going to talk about the Atari 7800 and what everybody wants to know. Out of the box, this thing's good. Is it worth $179? I don't know. What makes this take off, the GameStation Go, is the fact that you can sideload ROMs on the SD card. So what does that mean? Which systems does it carry? Well, for me personally, I want this to be a retro machine. I've heard that you can put Nintendo 64 games on it. I've heard that you can put PlayStation games on it. I've heard that you could put Jaguar games on it, I heard that from a homeless guy. I don't know if that's true or not. But what I want is 2600, 5200, 7800, maybe Odyssey 2, and maybe Intellivision. I couldn't get any of the Intellivision ones to work. I'm not an Intellivision guy, so I didn't really put a lot of time into it. But for this video, I was wanting to kind of review the keypad for you guys. But I know, like, the 5200, the keypad doesn't work with, like, Star Raiders and stuff. So there's still some issues with that. But as far as the links, the 7800 and the 2600, I think overall you'll be happy with the games you can put on here. And I know people were sad because the Atari Lynx wasn't included. Now, if you go online illegally, I don't know. I don't want to... There's a gray area with getting ROMs offline. If you do a Google search, you can find places to download them. Not every Lynx game is going to play. Not every 7800 game is going to play. And not every 2600 game, 5200 or whatever, is going to play perfectly. Because this system is not extremely powerful, and it's not built to play your illegally pirated games, you bastard. So don't be too grouchy about it. With the Lynx, I will say the screen is much bigger than the Lynx screen, so it kind of stretches the graphics out. So some of these graphics are kind of hard to see. But most of the Lynx games on here play pretty good, except for the fact that the second button is the Y button. Now, why? I don't know. And that sucks. My favorite Lynx game is APB, and having the buttons too far apart makes it, you have to drive and hit a button at the same time. Man, it makes it almost impossible to play. If you could remap the Y button to trigger or the A button to a trigger, then you could play this game and it would be freaking phenomenal. Ramparts ROM plays good. There's a ton of games that play well. You'll be happy to know that when you hit one of the top buttons, I believe it's the select button, that it can switch the screen around 90 degrees like the old Lynx used to, where you could play left-handed or right-handed, and some of the games like Clax you would play vertically. Pretty cool. I dig that feature a lot. I was going to go down a big list of games that worked and games that didn't work from the ROMs that you could add. I'm going to let that kind of fall to you. From what I'm seeing in my gut, about 66% of the games for things like 2600, 5200 Lynx, 7800, about 66% of them play without issue. Just keep in mind that sometimes the keypad doesn't work with the 5200 games, doesn't make any sense. Sometimes the arcade games don't quite work, but for the most part, everything does really well. And I'm surprised actually at how many games do work. You know, Adventure 2 for the Atari 5200 doesn't work. That's a caveat. EXO for the 7800. So, I mean, not everything is going to make your day. And sometimes, like the 5200 joystick, it was so goofy the way they designed it. Those just never, the games that utilize that control scheme for the 5200, those games will never be emulated properly. Let's talk about the 7800 on this. If you're a 7800 fan and you've always envisioned or dreamed about having a portable 7800, this is a pretty darn good answer for that. The screen is big, it plays well. The two buttons, A and B, they're right there. It's the A button and literally the B button. So we're good there. There is pause. You can pause the game. Great. The selection that comes with the Gamestation Go is pretty boilerplate. Let's look real quick to see what they got so I don't leave one out. You've got Asteroids. This version of Asteroids is probably superior on a system like this compared to the arcade version. Basketball is a lot of fun. I played it last night. Plays great. Centipede plays pretty well. Probably would prefer to play Centipede on the arcade version just as a preference because the trackball, that's one of the few games where the trackball actually works pretty well. Dark Chambers plays well. I don't know who would play that, but Desert Falcon is good. It actually feels like it plays better than it does on a 7800. A lot of times when you play Desert Falcon at home, there's just insane glitchiness sometimes. Not here. Fatal Run in a handheld situation takes hours to beat, but whatever. Food Fight, this is the best food fight that's included. Definitely play that. Motorcycle seems like it plays worse than it does on the Pro system, so screw that game. Ninja Golf plays brilliantly. Realsports Baseball is one of the worst games of all time. And Scrapyard Dog plays well if you can put up with Scrapyard Dog. Now, all that being said, those games pretty much play well. There's some very good games that are excluded. You know, Crossbow, of course, is not on the thing. Alien Brigade is mysteriously gone. Midnight Mutants, Planet Smashers. So there's some of the bigger 7800 titles that aren't here, but you can load them on the micro SD card. With all that being said, and the good news that I have for you is that all the 7800 games that you can load that are commercial games from a ROM pack like Trebor's ROM pack, which is associated with Atari Age, those games all play good. I've played most of them that are worth playing. The only exception is my favorite game, Tower Toppler. Tower Toppler has always played like butthole for some reason. They've never got the graphics of parallax scrolling down, and at times the guy speeds up and slows down inexplicably. So Tower Toppler aside, the other 58 games, well, I guess the light gun games, you can't play them either, but most of the games, 50-something games, play great. Now, the homebrew, hack, and prototypes all work well. Clax works well. Sirius works well. Plutos works well. So that's good. Some of these homebrews are going to disappoint you, though. There's some that don't play at all. EXO does not play. It seems like all of Muddy Funster's games, except for Danger Zone, does not play. And Bernie and the Tower of Doom does not play on this. So Muddy makes really big games, and those games aren't going to work. The game Millie and Molly does not work. The good news is almost every Bob de Crescenzo game works. The only caveat being Bentley Bear Crystal Quest does not have music. It also doesn't play well with this because you can't remap the buttons. Because with Bentley Bear Crystal Quest, you have had a video about this too, you've got to chord buttons to play the game real well. And if you're playing with something where the buttons are spread out, it's going to suck. But you can play it. But all his other games, Baby Pac-Man, all the Pac-Man games, Astro Blaster, Failsafe, Super Circus Atari, Crazy Bricks, they all play. They just don't support the paddle with Crazy Bricks or Super Circus Atari Age. Vlad's games all play. And Vlad makes Night Guy games and Uzi the Goo and Slide Boy, and even his brand new game, Tunnels of Hyperion, plays. Great. Another positive that I forgot to mention is the battery life on this seems great. When it came out of the box, it had 3 chunks, just kind of like it is now. It's like a cell phone. And this thing played 3 or 4 hours before I had to charge it. So Depending if you're taking this on a plane, I'm going to California this week to shoot a TV show. Is it going to be good on the plane? Hopefully it will be. Hopefully I won't, the TSA agent won't wrestle it out of my dead hands. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this on the airplane because, flying is boring unless you're actually flying or screwing one of the stewardesses. Oh, by the way, there's a bunch of Jaleco games and Pico games. I don't think one human being ever cared about that. 200 games, it's $179, so it's less than $1 a game. Is this worth it? I have picked this thing apart and had a lot of critiques about this machine. I will say I love it. It's not perfect. I don't think anybody in the world thought it was going to be perfect. But with the addition of being able to sideload, somebody says they got Mario Kart 64 working on it. There's going to be ways for people to figure out how to improve the user interface, how to improve dip switches, figuring out how to get the paddles to work on some of these ROMs. It's just little caveats. And if they fix things like they give the Recharge games pause, if they fix whatever the hell's going on with Berzerk Recharged, if they make the graphics a little bit brighter on Balls of Steel, this thing's going to be amazing. It's amazing as it is, just mainly because the user interface is great. I also like on the games that are loaded from the factory, the little light lights up on the different types of user interface that it supports. That's kind of cute. There's a lot of mysteries about this, like why doesn't Star Raiders on the 5200 use the keypad? Maybe somebody will figure out a way for that to work down the road. But out of the box, there's so much, especially if you sideload a bunch of Atari games, Lynx. This is the first time, I'll tell you something. I've played Paperboy on the Lynx for many years, and I never was able to beat it. On the Gamestation Go, I actually beat Paperboy. I didn't know that you could beat it. I thought you just kept going after the weeks. No, you can actually beat the game. I never knew it until the Gamestation Go. I love this thing. It's not perfect. It's like a little dog that kind of poops in a corner occasionally. It's cute as hell. I love holding it. I love going, but there's some poopy involved. So that's my review of this. I'm not going to give it a score. I think it's awesome. I think it's probably one of the best things to come out in a long, long time. They really need to have a case come with this thing, or a case that you can buy, because I've dropped this once already, and again, it sounded like it could have been really bad for it. I would like a little thing for this to live, especially if this is a portable system with the little cables and the headphones and all that jive that are included. I know BJ, somebody said there's a special at BJ's. I live in a place right around the street. You can get a BJ for a special price, depending on what she looks like. But there's a BJ's. It's a wholesaler, and they have an Atari bundle that comes with a case. Okay, I don't know what that is. So if you live in that kind of the world, keep an eye out for that. Overall, big thumbs up. Way to go, My Arcade. This is the best thing you've ever made. This is one of the best things Atari's been associated with a long time. It's not perfect, but it's damn close. So, what do you guys think about the Gamestation Go? Thank you for being here the whole time. I know this is a long video. I tried like hell to blow through this thing as fast as possible. You know me. I have too much side commentary. I'm a nut job, a booger head. I'm a flibberty gibbet. Also, speaking of flibberty gibbet, I've got great pants. They're called The Perfect Jean. Go to theperfectjean.nyc. One day I'm going to upload my ass so you guys can see how great these jeans are. I'm not even just blowing smoke because they're a sponsor. They're great. Also, Doomsday Meals. It's the end of the world and I'm hungry. These are premium MREs shipped out of Detroit by a guy who is a prepper and he's a nut job. But these MREs, he's even got stuff. He's got desserts. He's got stuff for your pets. Doomsday Meals are going to be huge. Get your pre-orders in now. This guy's a gourmet chef and he freeze dries this stuff. This stuff is tremendous. I'm going to do a commercial for him because he's a dear friend and I'm afraid he's going to kill me if I don't. But anyway, try out the Doomsday Deal meals. Also, check out Big and Funky Productions. We got movies coming down. I'm shooting a movie today. A couple scenes for a movie today for our upcoming anti-AI movie where the tagline is AI Must Die, Showdown in Secret City. Check that jive out. Also go to Atari7800forever.com if you want to check out the Big and Funky reviews of and articles about the Atari 7800. I hope that's clear as mud. I really tried today to make this concise and eliminate the ums and all the stupid side stories. And if you don't like me, I